So you guys are probably getting kind of cocky now. You know, you've watched 7 other tutorials. You know some GML code. You're a cool coder now. You're just too cool for school. I bet you're bragging to all your friends about a game you're making. Oh yeah, I'm making a computer game. You just think you're awesome, don't you? Well, I'm going to attempt to humble you, and I'm going to be explaining if statements. So I'm going to make this little code really fast. I'm just going to write it up. I'm not going to tell you what it does. You'll figure it out. So, let's run this code. Oh, ignore that. That was my friend. So, when we run into lava, watch my hit points. Gets to 0, and the room restarts. So, that code was pretty self-explanatory. Now, I made a step event to put this code in. A step event can best be described like this: every moment of the game. So when you have code in the step event, it's going to be constantly checking that code every single moment, just consistently, just over and over and over and over. So it's going to check things or just do something constantly. So in this instance, we have this little code here. So it's going to be constantly checking this little code I wrote up. And let me explain what this code is. We use what's called an if statement. And an if statement can be described like this: if this happens, then do what's inside of these brackets, which in this case we have this little code right here, which will restart the whole entire room. Actually, I'm going to restart the game. There's 2 codes. I was using room_restart, and then that will restart the room, but I'm actually going to change it to game_restart, and that will restart the entire game. I'm just going to do it that because I'm just awesome and cool and stuff. And so it's game_restart, and then 2 parentheses, and then a semicolon. So, what we have here is if hit points are less than 1, then do what's in these brackets, and in this case, game_restart. And this little greater than, less than sign, this again, if you remember, is called an operator. So, if statements are very cool. I mean, you can do so much with them. I mean, that's where a lot of your game is going to be, is you're going to be dealing with if statements. Let's say you have an enemy, and you want something to happen. When your player, like say your player has a gun, and he's just awesome and stuff. Well, you have a certain enemy, and you want it so when the player kills this enemy, the enemy will die, but then he will spawn 5 more different enemies exactly where he died. Well, you do something, simple. You go if death equals true. I mean, this is just something weird that I'm writing up. Then instance create x y object enemy 2 then you put like 5 of these. Yeah, 3 4 5. Then you'd be like instance destroy bam 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 bam, and then you do an if statement about like that. So I mean, you can make a pretty long if statements and everything else. So you'll be using them a lot, so it's best to get familiar with them right now. So it's kind of like the events and action things. If this event happens, do this action. If this happens, do this. And what this is called, the hit points less than 1, is what we have right here. What this is called is an expression. And everything in these brackets is called a statement. So if this expression happens, then do this statement. And we end every statement in a semicolon, because that's what good programmers do. You don't technically need the semicolon, but if you're cool and you're awesome like me, you will end it in the semicolon. The other thing you notice, I indented all my code within the if statement. That's because if statements can get pretty large. I mean, you'll get into else, then like if whatever, and then it's like bam, and then you're gonna have to indent more, and then blah blah blah, and then it's like bam, I don't know, it gets crazy. Now this is totally wrong, so ignore that. But I mean, you're gonna be wanting to indent, and it just keeps your code really nice and pretty. And I'm gonna be showing you more examples of how I code and how I'm putting indents in it as I go. So, it's just something you want to do. When you have an if statement, like if blah whatever, automatically it's not going to indent, and you can just write code. So how you indent is you click the tab key, and then that'll let you indent. And you can just click tab as much as you want, and you can indent like that. So just do that. Be a good programmer. Be respectful, because if someone looks at the source of your game, if you allow them to, they want to see neat coding. They don't want to see everything on the same level, and it's just really hard to read and everything. Use indents, use semicolons, use things that good programmers use, and you'll learn them as you go. So that's just my little rant right there. So now, totally unrelated to that, back to our game. So again, this code, all it's doing is if hit points is less than 1, game is going to restart. That's it for this tutorial, and we'll be learning even more about if statements coming up. Comment, subscribe, leave me a message if you need any help. I love you guys.